Hello everybody and welcome to another tutorial in camera and lens repair, and this time I will take an old Mamiya-Sekor for the Mamiya Press, and it's the 3.5 and 100 millimeter, and I would like to show you how you can re-grease the sticky focus ring. Those old lenses have a problem now and then, and it's because if they just sit on the shelf or maybe sit on the camera, the focus will over time get really sticky, and it's the same with this one. Yeah, really have a tight focus. Wow, too much. It should be soft and easy to turn, and but it isn't anymore. So I would like to do something with it, and hopefully it will be good. I don't know yet. To re-grease it with, I will use some Liqu-Moly LM47, and it's the original package which I put into a little container, and I think it's really good for lenses. Maybe you have another kind of grease you use. So yeah, let's dig into it. It's not that hard, but still I have made some notes. And the inner, I mean, everything is on, I measured, is with the at near end. I will say the lens, the focusing ring has to be, oh really, at 1 meter or so. And yeah, so I measured, and I will show it later on. We also need a lot of tools, which I will come into sooner. Different tweezers, screwdrivers, flathead, crosshead, JIS, J-I-S. That's the word when working with those old lenses. And also flathead screwdrivers. And which is also very important, we need a caliper, which is really important when working with the helicoids, so you know where the how to measure the distance and all that stuff. But let's dig into it. We need to take off the lens assembly, lens shutter assembly, because we only need to work with the helicoids. And for that, we use a lens tool. That's my way of working it. You probably have different reference. But it's really good with an old compass. And it works really good because you see the retaining ring down here. You have the notch there and there. The other smaller one is for the lens, back lens screw, but we need to get into and take this out, and it's a bit tight, but we'll make it. If it sits too tight, yeah, one can use a oh gosh, come on here. They can use some isopropylalcohol and add it on a, see, we also have to get it in here. And of course I forgot something. See the retaining ring, not something special. But we need to, and I forgot that in the beginning, we need to take off the flash sync to actually take the whole assembly out. Not really. Yeah, you can see the lens assembly, lens shutter assembly is free at the moment, but we need to unscrew this. and for that we will use a smaller screwdriver. This is not really tight, but we can loosen them a little, and there it is. Of course, I've been into the lens before, so I know how it looks, and it's quite interesting the way it's made in a way. So, and now we can take off the lens shutter assembly, and it's better to just let it go the way back, and then we can take off the little sync here. Turn it a little and it should be so. You can see it's an open hole here, so one does not need to desoldering the wire here. So away with that. And now we are looking into the actual focusing assembly. And it took me a while to figure out how to to take out the inner helicoid, at least the inner section here. See, it can be unlocked and locked for normal use, and unlock, you push it in so it will be in transport mode, so it does not stick so much out. But it's actually the whole inner helicoid we move in that way, not the helicoid itself, but there is a mechanism in here where the tube, see, the helicoid, the brass helicoid in here, you can see it says where it is. It moves when I turn the focusing ring. But I want to get it out, and also the middle helicoid and the outer, separate them. And so I think, okay, I have an idea of, I need to get this retaining ring out. But this retaining ring sits extremely tight. So I use a lot of isopropylalcohol, and I thought I should add the isopropylalcohol in this end, but no, it was actually the other end, and it fooled me, because there is no repair manual for this actual part of the repair manual. One should add it here. Hopefully you can see it. It will say the other end, will say in here. So so this is the actual retaining ring, but it fooled me. So that's why I actually made this, not for this, but because I made it a long time ago. But it's really easy to simply add the isopropylalcohol in here. Of course I could use a cotton bud, but I should have added so much. I mean, directly from the bottle into the ring, into the bottle, into the ring, and it's just so much easier with this bulb thingy. I actually made another video about this, you maybe have seen. Now, to get the things out, well, we will begin with the front here, and it sits with 5 screws. There, and it's just the tiny spring here we also need to take out. So by taking that out, shouldn't be that hard. So you just clip it out, take care of it, don't lose it. And then I can, with a JIS 2.5 millimeter, simply unscrew the 5 screws here. And it shouldn't take long. In that way here. And the rest too. Take care of when unscrew this last one. This one can move. So when you take off the front here, the other ring underneath will of course follow. Nothing special with that. It can only sit in one way. So that's it. Then lift it out. See, nothing special, and the other ring is just sitting there. So away with that. Now, then we look into the more naked focusing helicoid part of it, and we can also take off the front ring here. It sits with 3 screws, there, off with that. It's also fooled me because I didn't know how to actually get into this part of it. There. And it's just a thin barrel that protect the other, so we can just take it off. But hold on a second. Before we we take out anything here, set the lens to infinity. Whoa, sticky. And we have to make some marks. That's something very important. Set a mark here, close to the infinity. That's my reference mark. And also set a little mark in here inside the actual focusing ring. And also set a little mark down here in relation to the next cover ring. Also set a mark on there. It's your only backup when you're working with this kind of stuff. So yeah, I've done that. Then I can take out the focusing ring itself, and for that I will use my 2.5 millimeter screwdriver and take it. See, the screws here is actually pressed down on the ring, the scale ring and the distance ring, and at the same time press on the inner helicoid, so it will be pressed together. So when I move it, I move the whole section here. So out with those. And don't move anything. Just pull it apart. Of course, not this. So this out. Nothing special about the focusing ring itself, but and I can just turn it, flip it over, and out came the cover ring here. Now, the distance ring is loose a bit, but we'll take it out sooner. We just need to make some mark here, just to make sure the mark here is in line with the index mark. That's important. So, and I move the focusing ring, the inner helicoid actually. Oh, it's even more tight. Because then I can take out the distance scale, distance ring. So, and again, we go back to normal, because I need to, no, it's okay. It's all okay, yeah. It's just because I've been into it. But, hold on, there's one mark I need to set. It's really tight, gosh. So there it is. Set a mark here on the back, just to be sure. Set a mark here on the brass ring in line with the index mark. And this ring is also good to set a mark. It's just a cover ring which sits with the one set screw, and you can just unscrew it. That's also important. Now, then we can begin to work with the what's actually happening here. You see, this ring is going against the part inside the camera that actually moved the rangefinder. So, and that I will take out. There is a kind of I think it must be an adjustment screw, but I don't need to actually do anything with that. It's more the other ring here. It's just a cover. So yeah, I will just unscrew the little, loosen the set screw here. If it sits tight, one can add a little. It could be they use some varnish and simply add a little here on the back, just to soften the thread lock if there is anything, and then loosen it. Come on, little fellow, there. Just a few turns, that's enough. And it sits quite tight in a way. Fully screwed down to that. Haha. Then it come to a stop here. But so I need to unscrew it even more, so it can, not yet. You can take it out if you want, but in that case you could lose it. So just unscrew this ring. Nothing special about that. You see, if I haven't unscrewed enough, like now, it's enough. Unscrew it. It goes against this one. It's the helicoid key. So now we get closer. So this ring also have to come out. And of course, I set the marks. And I also set, and that's also important, I set a mark down here which is important on the ring and on the next part, which will come till sooner. So we know the exact position of that ring. So just unscrew this. And also this one. And if the screws are, again, if the screws are tight in a bit, you can simply add some isopropylalcohol and add it on the screw head. And so we can get this off. So it has a bigger head, those 3 screws. And off that. Whoa, old separated grease. Wow, there's a lot, but we'll clean it. You see, this is where it begins to be a little more interesting. To get, I mean, normally one should be able to unscrew this retaining ring, but it sits extremely tight. So I used, of course, my tool here, use a lot of isopropylalcohol, but I also tried with acetone and simply add it down here on the thread all the way around. And it took a while to unscrew it, because then I use a saw blade and hold on a second. Now I've set the saw blade into a vise and put the part of the helicoid, and you can see the 2 notches here. So and I simply put it onto the 2 notch here into the saw blade, and I use a lot of force and a lot of acetone to soften the thread lock. And yeah, it came loose, as you can see here, but it took me a while to figure out, was this the front or the back that came loose. So and yeah, then it actually came loose, and this is why I can get the retaining ring off by a rubber tool. Well, I tried with the spinner, this one, but it was simply not strong enough. So, but since I used the saw blade in the vise, as you see, I would be able to actually unscrew it with a rubber tool like this. Yep, this is quite tight. It's really tight. But it was necessary for me to actually measure first, because yeah, you see, before I take it apart, I have to measure the inner helicoid, which from there, I mean this end, to down to here, the black part. And it's very important, because if it's not measured correct, you will not have the correct focus. And it should be something like, if I can measure correct, should be something like 1.76 millimeter. And since we have at the same time the middle helicoid from the front, it will say here. It will say from there to the very back of the outer helicoid. It will say here. So we can measure that. And how long should there be? Something like 30.50 millimeter. And it says okay. So now we know that. It's very important because then I can take it apart. It will happen when I unscrew those two screws on the helicoid key, and before we do anything, it's good to set a mark here on the inner helicoid, so we know the exact position of where it should stay, and also here make a scratch. No one will ever see it. And then I can unscrew those, because it will make it easier to actually unscrew the back retaining ring. Oh. And that's why it is so important to measure, so I know the how many turns to unscrew the helicoids from each other. So now out with the helicoid key. Gently lift it out. A lot of old grease here, you can see. Whoa. Now the inner helicoid is free. So to get it off, I have to unscrew something like a quarter turn till it come off at 8 o'clock. So when we look at the lens here from the back, my index mark is here. That's my reference. So when I unscrew it, I have to hold on to the outer helicoid, the middle helicoid ring, so it will not move. And then I can unscrew the inner helicoid. And since I have my reference mark here, it will come loose around, if I get it here, around 8 o'clock, something like here. My reference mark is up here, and you will see it comes off here. Maybe a little confusing, but when I look here, actually I made it as my reference is the lens made in Japan, because the helicoid, now I remember, little confusing, sorry. My reference mark was the helicoid key, sorry for that. So now I can turn it. My mark is down here, as you can see, and it will. I also set the mark down here when it came off. So when it's down to that, it will come off the thread. When it came off, set a mark. As you probably can see here, the two marks are in line, and it will say the helicoid has to to go on here, which can be a little tricky. And the helicoid is very precise made. But now it come off, and now we can actually see the mechanic that locks the inner tube that hold the lens assembly. I mean, yeah, the lens shutter assembly. And then my frustration of I couldn't get the inner, the retaining ring off, so I could get the helicoid out. It was a bit tricky. So now I can use really big tool. For, as I said in the part where I use the saw blade with the 2 notches here, it would be a lot easier working with that. But since I've been into it, it should come off, but doesn't. So I use my extremely sticky gloves with Work Life OS blue, which is blue, yeah. But the rubber itself, it's extremely sticky. So I should be able to actually unscrew it. If not, one can add a lot of isopropyl alcohol here along the edge of where the 2 part meets. But let's see if I can get it loose. Yeah, still quite sticky. So one you can see here, I will be able to unscrew it. Still, you probably can see there is a lot of old threadlock in here. See traces of threadlock here, and also in here. What fooled me, and I didn't know, of course, how it should be, but because how to get into those plastic thingy in here. See those on each side. So, but when I took off the back ring here, so I could take out this tube. Then we came into the mechanic here, which is quite good made. It's a lock that lock into place. And of course, you have the other lock here. So to get this, it's quite smart made. So to get the helicoid out, and of course I also need to unscrew the 3 screws that sits in this cover here. Well, I need to unscrew 2 screws. One sits there. It's a funny shape of a crosshead, and the other sits here. And then I should be able to lift out the inner helicoid. Take care of, because as I mentioned, take care of when using acetone on the retaining ring here. If you think of that, to soften the thread lock. If the acetone gets into here, to the plastic part, they could soften them and in a way damage them. So better use the isopropyl alcohol for that. Now I found out I need a bigger screwdriver with a very thin end, tip to actually unscrew those two screws here. And they sit extremely tight, so one have to wiggle a little, and then it's possible to unscrew. A crosshead screwdriver is not good for that. I tried, but there's not. It has, you see, it goes into a different angle when you unscrew them. You cannot go straight into them. So there. It's also very important before you take the helicoid off that it sits on the correct relation to the one screw fall out, that it sits correct. So I simply make a scratch inside here where my mark is on the outside here. That's my mark I made earlier. So I know the exact position of the helicoid, so it's not sit on the opposite, because it will not work. So now I can unscrew the other screw. Have a good grip on the screwdriver, and then you should be able to unscrew it. So now it came loose. It's here, both of them. So now I can actually, I should be able to take the whole thing out. At least. What about this happen here? Is it not really possible? Or, as I understand, the holes here and here and here, it looks like one need to have a small screwdriver to actually unscrew the screws here. But I figured out you can, if you use a 2mm JIS, that you can reach it. I have no idea how good it will work, but it's the only way I can do it. So out with that. The other one, because it could be the covering that goes against something in here, I don't know. So one can loosen it. So one should be able to unscrew that. Yeah. Phew, goes. And the last one. Maybe there is a reason the holes here for this ring, for this cover, sit where they do. But, okay, it came out. Haha. And, okay, that's interesting. So you can see the covering here also sits. That was tricky. Well, how could I know? So of course the plastic flips out a little, so you can see here and there. So it is possible to screw this cover ring on the helicoid, the inner helicoid, before you actually put it on. So this is how it works. it's good to see. My reference mark is... So that, you see, this is why it is so important to make those marks before you take anything apart. So one should be able to put it on. Maybe the holes here are a bit, they need a little file, because there's something small part of the metal sticks out and goes against the inner barrel here. So this is how it looks. Wow. So, and of course I need to unscrew the outer and middle helicoid, which is quite easy. Again, marks is important. My reference mark here for the middle helicoid, and it will come off over here at, if you look at my reference mark here, the helicoid key is around 8 o'clock. I set an off mark, so I just need to turn it, and that's what I set, the 3/4 turn till off at around 8 o'clock. And see here, then it come off. Wow, old sticky grease, a lot of it. So now I will clean the helicoids and re-grease it again. I don't know what they used back then, doesn't really matter to me. That's it, see you sooner. And now it's time to, after the cleaning of the helicoid, which looks really good, much better than it was. So now it's time to re-grease it, and it shouldn't be that hard. And I will use the Liqu-Moly LM47. So let's see how good it will be. And of course a fine brush is very handy in that way. Doesn't have to be a lot of grease on it, as I see it. So we can just add a little. I mean, it just have to be a thin grease film on the helicoid. Even if the helicoid is quite big, I think it will be fine. So there, maybe it's better from the other side, I think. And of course when I add the grease, there will be maybe a little too much, but I can just wipe away when I put the middle helicoid on, and then wipe away the rest of it. Just have to be spread a little. So let's see how it will go. Where is my reference mark? Somewhere. And the middle helicoid is here. I have my reference mark here, and I also have my off mark, which should be, this is where the helicoid key is sitting, where the marks is, and this is where the helicoid came off. And since I have my mark here, it should be easy to put the middle helicoid, but the helicoid is when you add the middle helicoid to the outer helicoid, it has to sit precise, because the precision is extremely precise made, this helicoid, so it can be a little difficult to get it on. Okay, I just get the right thread. Wow, seems good. And I can just go all the way in. Wow, I think it works really good, this. Oh gosh, okay, I came over. Now I have to go back again. That was unexpected, but I just have to, yeah, get the right thread again. Hopefully it will be the right one. I get it. Hee. Fine. I mean, that really works as it should. So I can just wipe away the rest of it with a cotton bud. Just need the right way around. It doesn't have to be too much. So that's all fine. Then I can add this. Where's my mark? It's somewhere over here. And then I can add, make the inner helicoid. See, this is where the mark is, and I just have to wiggle a little. It can be a little difficult now and then. It has to say click in a way. Sometimes it does, sometimes not. There it is. And you see, since I set the mark up there, up here, and I know the two surfaces here, they have to be almost flush with my mark setting here where the helicoid key is. So next I can add the inner helicoid, but before doing so, I did file what was something in here, because there was a little lump in a way, and it's because the this tube, barrel, or whatever it calls, has to go over the two holes here, but it didn't. It has some problem before. Now it's fine. Wow, really good. And so I simply just add the grease on this one and put it in and see how good it goes. And then I can add the front cover for this one. It also has to sit correct, so we know that it has to sit there. And then I can add this on the this barrel here where the lens assembly goes on. So let's see how it will go. Yeah. So it will be spread anyway in here, so there will maybe be a little too much, but we can just wipe away what is too much. So let's see how it will go. I think it's interesting to work with this kind of grease because it's difficult to get some of the real grease for this one, I think. But so where to get, to try different kind of grease, which sometimes is also a good way of working. And it just have to be a thin grease film on this. Maybe there is a little too much, but we'll see. Now I can try to add, I have my mark here, where it sits there, where I set it in the beginning. And it has to go on with this mark I set inside the middle helicoid. So one have to catch the thread, which of course sometimes can be a problem. Some patient. Sometimes they say click and then it goes right in. Sometimes it's a bit tricky. This is more tricky. Yeah, here it goes. Wow, feels good. Yeah, it feels, it has a good, stiffness. And then I just take it out again and wipe away what is too much. That's why a cotton bud is a good thing to do that. So there. But I also have to wipe away what is too much in here. You can see there's way too much. And of course we have a lot of cotton buds. And of course there was a little too much in here. So there's no idea to have a lot of grease in there because it takes some dust and dirt. Oh gosh. But there will most of the time be a little too much. See? But it doesn't really matter, we just wipe it away. So, now it looks fine. So there. That was a bit unexpected. it should work that way, but I think it will be fine. Now, just so I don't forget it, I mean, this cover have to be on, and it has to sit in the correct position, this one. But there is another thing, because those plastic part in here, they also need some some lube, but I think I will do it when I have put the helicoid over here and put it in, because then I can just add a little with a yeah, maybe a something long tool, thin tool, I guess. So let's see. Yeah. No, let's see how they should sit. My mark is here. I set this mark back then, and of course it has to sit with this mark here, up here. So I know the position, and I also set a mark here on this, you see this little mark here. So this one has to sit like this here, as I see it. So now I can add this. There it should be something like that. So this barrel has to protect from dust coming in. Just tighten it gently. No need for over tighten it. So when it's done, I can put it on the on this one, because when the helicoid is on here, it's not possible to actually add the front here, as I see it. So now I should be able to put this in here, and yeah, I think it's better to lube it after. So there. Then press on these two plastic parts and simply move the helicoid over it. It should sit there. So I think maybe it's a good idea to add some, yeah, I think it's good to add some grease of the So it will be the Liqu-Moly LM50. Oh, see here, the LM50, the blue one. And simply just add a little, so it can be a little it's good for plastic, safe for plastic too, so it will not hurt anything. Then I can just give it some movement, and of course also the other side as well. Just a little amount, then give it some movement. Maybe it's not the correct way of doing it, but I think it will work anyway. So there it is. Double check with the mark. The mark is sitting here, and my mark is also sitting in here. So now I know it's correct, which is good. Then I can add the two special screws. Which is, maybe I should magnetize the screwdriver here to make it even more easy to come on inside. So that way. So then I should be able to, hopefully, add the screw. It has to be all the way up here, so I can slide in the screwdriver. Yeah, there. I could add some thread lock, but it would be really hard for somebody else to come in if they must. So I will just tighten the screws really good and say that's all fine. Sometimes it can be really hard for somebody else to actually open a lens. So there. Then catch the hole and the thread. And then tighten it good. So that's fine. Yeah. Then I can add the helicoid into the correct place and the correct thread. Okay, I have my mark here. I have my mark in here. Then I should be able to add it. Maybe I should do this, because then it will not, when it sits there, it can just go in and out. So if I put it over to lock position, I think I will be able to make it easier to add the helicoid. So it should be something like not that easy. Click and it goes in. Wow. goes all the way up to here. Then I can check if the helicoid sits the correct position by checking from the back here to the middle helicoid, which there should be something like, if I can measure correct, oh, has to sit. Let's see when I put in the helicoid. Oh, got something. The helicoid also have to have some grease on it. Doesn't have to be much. Maybe a little more. So it must be fine. And let's see. Let's see how good it will be. Oh, if I could measure correct. No, I was not. Have to hold it correct here. And okay, I measured to 1.73, but it depends on which angle I have the caliper. But as you can see here, it should be something like 1.76. And of course the middle, the middle helicoid, blah, should also be in the correct position when I measure here. If I do it like this, measure to the back, it's there. So it's 30.50 millimeter. So everything is fine. So I can add the small screws that hold the helicoid key, and the rest of it is just assemble. Which is, well, in a way, quite simple. So there. And how does it? Wow, it's really good. I really like this LM47. It has a good, what do you say, feeling of when. Wow. Now that's good. Great stuff. So then we can put in this barrel into the inner part, the inner tube here, and then add the back retaining ring here. And I think it's not necessary to do anything. There's still some old threadlock on it, so there is not really much to do about that. one can just tighten it good. Let's see if I have another tool that could make it easier to tighten. I think it's just another what you say, rubber tool gasket from the hardware store, but I think it works pretty good. I can just tighten this. So now it's fine. And wipe away the rest of the stuff here. All fine. And then I can just check if the click function when the lens is in normal mode. Click. And then it goes into transport mode. Click. Wow. Fine. Okay, next thing is, let's see. Can just check if the lens is correct. I have my mark here, which is good. And then I can add the back here, the back ring. Which should sit here somewhere. And I also set a mark on this on here, because if I turn it correct, you see the mark I set in the beginning should face on the index mark, and it should also be fine. Then I can add the cover ring, but I will just take the 3 screws here, which are sitting. Okay, then I need a tweezer. There it should be. Don't tighten it yet, just put all the screws in, and because then I have my mark here where it should be, so I can just make the adjustment so it's correct. See the mark I set in the beginning? It has to be in line with each other. See? That's important. Maybe it is, maybe not. Well, one don't know before you take it apart. And of course, if you forgot your marks, you have a real problem. Because the repair manual, if there is any, there must be something out there. I'll just add a little black. Say it's all fine. That's good. Then I can take the covering here with a little set screw in here, see, and simply put it on. And then tighten it good. I mean, it doesn't have to be much because it's just a covering, but then you can tighten the little set screw that sits here. So, and of course, well, someone will see it here, but we can just add a little here. That's it. Now it's the front part, which will not take long. We have the in distance ring here, which I need to put on, and of course I have to unscrew the helicoid to near end before I can put on the distance ring. So it has to sit like this, something. And of course the screws in here, they have to go over. If we look here, put it like this, and then you can put them on. Just make a little pressure here and it's all fine. But of course it has to be done at 1 meter. So when the lens is stopped there, I have my mark here, something like that. So one could set it to, yeah, I will do it at infinity. It's more easy because then I have my mark here. And then the distance ring will also sit there. So if I do so, the marks are in line, everything is correct. Then I can add my what do you say, little covering here. Add it like this, and then add the 3 small screws. There. And this screw here. Then the last one. Something like that. And then set it to infinity. And then have the distance ring sit like this. So I can add the actual focus ring. Lower it over the screws. So, I mean, lower the focusing ring over. So there. So let's see, it's infinity there. So we are almost there. And then tighten all the screws when it's fully done. This one this one, and the last screw. So let's see. Wow! Now this is really good. Whew. This is extremely good. I mean, I can use 2 fingers, I can even use my little finger. I couldn't do it before. So big success. Next thing is the part of the front has to go on, and I just have to, see the gap here. The gap here is where the little spring has to sit. So something like that, and then I can just find out where is the 5 screws. So there, here we are. So I can add the 5 screws. Now this grease is simply amazing. No, I am not sponsored by any company. I buy my own stuff for my own money. So even the grease are good for the automobile, or is also really good for camera work. I mean lens helicoid work. So now it looks absolutely amazing. Just wipe a little away of old stuff. So now I can add the little spring, and where's the tweezer here? Oh. Sometimes it's good to work with tweezers, and sometimes it is a bit tricky. I mean, working with gloves, so it was. So now the springs sit on. I just need to put the other end on, which sometimes can be a little tricky. Where's my tool here? So, and then it works fine. That's really good. The only thing I need to do is to put the lens assembly on. Say that's all fine. Remember the little guide pin here? It has to go into that hole here. So we can just do like this. Lower it, and of course the wire can in some way interfere with whatsoever here on the front. That's a silly way of doing this, but we just need to have it on the other way around. Hold on a second. So now we can better put it in. And there you see the guide pin sits where it should. the wire here on the front, I will simply put the wire into the gap. So now then the retaining ring, need to come on. And then I should be able to actually use my lens compass tool . Yep. So a little more space between the two legs. Just going a little backward, catch the thread, and I know it's difficult to see, but it's easier when the lens assembly is on the table, because then I can just turn the compass. So that's it. And then I will put in the wire here. You see, it looks like there has been here. See, it looks like this one has been connected directly to here. Maybe it's a different lens I don't know. Doesn't really matter. So the wire, I guess the wire has to sit in there somewhere. So then put it on here, so it will be hidden. So and then add the two small screws I took out in the beginning. Should be there. So there. So now it's back to work, and I can hopefully put the lens into transport position, and I can pull it out and then click it into normal mode. Now this is extremely good, really good. Now that's I'm very excited about this result. So now it works as it should. So I hope you can use the info in this video. Yeah, see you sooner. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.